Joining me right now is Steve Outhouse, the Conservative Party's campaign manager. Steve, thank you for making the time.
Thanks, Michael. Glad to be here.
So here you have a leader that has a huge percentage support of the people here in Calgary. What does this win allow him and the party now to do going forward?
Yeah, I think it allows us, well, first of all, clarity. And to see the great result last night was very encouraging and allows us to focus at this point in time. I mean, there's obviously the important work that needs to be done in Parliament, work that needs to be done there. And then, of course, for myself on the campaign side, you know, with the support behind the leader, we can focus on getting ready for that election whenever it's going to come.
Yeah. Does it put to bed the questions, the doubts that came out of April 2025 when the party didn't win the election?
Well, from my perspective, I mean, there's always only been one choice to lead us in the next election, and that's Pierre Poilievre. You know, I know it's good that we have that discussion, and we do that as a movement, and we do that as a party, and I think the vote does put that to rest. I mean, it's politics. There's always going to be people, and there's always going to be views, but we are now, I believe, united and working together and ready to go forward.
Are there any lessons to take out of 2025, though?
Oh, I think in every campaign, I mean, it's going to be different the next time around. There's always lessons to be learned, and the issues keep shifting, and you know, I think, yes, what I'm hearing, I've had a chance to speak with literally hundreds of delegates since I've been here. A lot of candidates of record, you know, and being a candidate of record means that unfortunately they didn't win in their seat, and so they have lots of thoughts and feedback. Taking all of that and hearing, you know, from them directly has been good, from EDA presidents, and you know, we'll be looking at how we can do things moving forward, and that's going to give them the best chance of winning the next time around.
Care to outline any of the
yeah,
issues
I would like to outline my strategy. I have some charts, if we could just throw to those. No, I mean, like, I won't get into the details of the strategy, but, you know, I think there's two things. I mean, we obviously are very fortunate right now to have support of younger Canadians. Those are people for who cost of living, housing, you know, those things are of top of mind, and they don't want to see the government ignore those. They want to see a government that's responsive to that. We need to reach out to more of those folks and get them engaged in the political system, because I think we've all known, you know, sometimes younger voters vote less frequently than the older ones. And then when it comes to the other side, it's a both and. We did lose some voters, despite having historic numbers of votes last time round, and that is an amazing accomplishment. But we definitely did lose some, you know, older voters who decided to park their vote with Mark Carney and the Liberals last time round. And so we have to be listening to them and figure out how we, you know, what type of messaging and what type of policies will move them, you know, back to the party that they were comfortable, you know, supporting in the past.
What it does not seem to imply, though, is any change in policy, because listening to the speech last night, it leaned in on the policy priorities that Pierre Poilievre has been outlining since his leadership run in 2022. So are you convinced that what was presented to the Canadian electorate in 2025 is a winnable policy platform the next time Canadians go to a vote?
I think it's more of an evolution that's there, and again, I mean, to get into the raw politics of it, when our opponents,
CPAC, you can do that.
Yeah, that's okay. Just between us. Yeah. When our opponents are saying, please pivot, please move off of this, and you know, and the commentariat moves in that way about, oh, this won't work, it doesn't work, and so on. I mean, often that's just that's a tactic to get us to move off of that. They know that for many people, cost of living is the biggest issue. They can't afford to buy the food for their family they want to get a house and can't. And of course, they would like us, you know, after 11 years of Liberal governments, granted there's been a leadership change here now, but the direction continues to go the same, is, you know, they want us to move off of that, and they want us to try to, you know, deal with the issues that they want to talk about. And so we can't ignore those, and we can't move off of those. But are there things that we can be rounding out and adding to it? For sure. I mean, we're always going to look to hone our messaging and moving forward, but we're not going to walk away from that, for sure.
How do you address the polling gap, though, that you still have? You know, the party, depending on, you know, probably up until the last couple of weeks, was neck and neck, depending on the poll, with the Liberals. There seems to have been a break now, but what has been very definitive is preferred Prime Minister. The current Prime Minister, Mark Carney, continues to outpoll Pierre Poilievre. How do you turn around that perception? And I get the policy, but it's still the same platform. It's still the same leader. How do you close that gap?
Well, I mean, I do think that there's ways that we can do that where you show more facets of Mr. Poilievre's personality. He's a family man. He's someone with a great sense of humor that I don't know if a lot of people know that. that. But, there's been a lot of passionate issues. He has been the leader of the opposition. Leaders of the opposition come in with an inherent, I would say, disadvantage because, their job is to oppose. Their job is to hold a government to account. And so, of course, I see this every time. I saw this with Tony Wakeham in Newfoundland, and I've seen in other places. They say, well, what are your policies, or what are you going to do? And because your job is to oppose. And, I believe that, we can do more things to show him as a true prime minister in waiting, and we're going to look to, find ways to do that. But that's just one part of it. I do think that there's, a lot of people who, like, whatever the personality aspects are, and I think, frankly, if you look at our list of prime ministers, I don't know how many were super cuddly and cozy, people. I stand to be, send your comments, but they want to know that you're fighting for them. And Pierre Poilievre is a fighter. And again, back on that change and pivot that you were talking about, again, when we get back to what our opponents want us to do, they want us to flail about and try to, rebrand in a way that's inauthentic and say, oh, well, if we have to do it this way. No, like, the man is a fighter. He's a fighter for Canada. He's a fighter for people. He's a fighter for issues that do make him passionate. So he does get fired up about that. But we need to show the other sides of that, of his personality as well.
Okay, that's the potential prime minister in waiting image that you're trying to create around Pierre Poilievre. What about this perception of government in waiting? Because I have to say, walking through this convention center, the delegates I've spoken to, they talk about wanting to see more of their MPs. They talk about wanting to see more of the front bench, thinking that if Canadians knew that front bench and saw government waiting, it would make the argument even more so for your party. What do you say to that?
Well, I think we have a great team, and I'm a big fan of highlighting more of these MPs. If that's what people are looking for, I've got no problem. I've helped several of these folks get elected in different roles, over the years, and very proud of our team. There is a depth that's there. There's, people who have passions about different policies and different aspects and connect with different communities. I think overall, and this would be my main message to our kind of movement overall, is we need every aspect and every element of the Conservative voter coalition and of the Conservative movement pulling together. That's going to look differently in more PC parts of the area or of the country, and here in Alberta, in BC. I mean, that's different everywhere you go, but we need to be working together. And similar to that, to your point on our team, we have different people who can speak to different audiences, and I would 100% want them to get out there and use their strengths to connect with potential voters.
The latest Abacus data poll says 1 in 5 Conservatives approve of Mark Carney's performance as a leader of government, as a prime minister. What does that tell you about the challenge ahead for you?
So, there's a few things there. I mean, it's one thing to say you approve or you're generally not, opposed to the role that he's done. Did it shift voter intent? And I will grant you that, in the last week after the Davos speech, you could see, there was a little bit more of a shift. I'll certainly acknowledge that. But overall, just because a conservative says, you know what, yeah, Carney's not that bad, follow up with the question of how you're going to vote next time, and that's back in Pierre Poilievre's court. So I think also we're at a very unique time where there is a rally around the flag effect going on, as there should be. We need to all stand up for Canada, and we're proud to stand up for our country. So there is some of the messaging that's out there is if you're speaking out against Carney, you're really agreeing with Trump, and that's where there is a line, and it can be tricky. I acknowledge that, where when we are trying to hold the government to account, it's easy for the other guys to say, basically, are you attacking Canada by attacking us? And no, we're the opposition, and we're going to have to raise some issues that are uncomfortable. But to answer the question directly about the 1 in 5, I think it's still a difference to say, generally I support what the person's doing as prime minister, but what my voter intent is the next election, that could be different.
Okay, well, Monday's the start of a new week, so you and I will speak again. Steve Outhouse, thank you for this.